Welcome to the TU Market Show. In this episode, we will look at our fund's approach towards a Brexit deal scenario and a Brexit no deal scenario. The fact is, the chances of a no deal happening is very, very likely. Out of the two, a no deal event and a deal event, a no deal event is the most likeliest. The reason being why this is because the deal will be put to Parliament, the House of Commons, and the Labour Party, the SNP Party, the DUP Party, and a lot of Tory MPs have stated that they're not all going to agree to the deal. So the mathematics, when it comes to the votes in Parliament, states to us that a no deal event will most likely happen. So our fund is now positioning itself around this. Here at TU Markets, we was 50-50 about Brexit. Half of us wanted to leave the EU, half of us didn't want to leave the EU. Personally, I wanted to remain, but for my trading strategies and for financially, I did want to leave because it did provide better opportunities for me comparative to staying in the EU. So what we will do, we will look at our positions and we will look at the sectors that the industries and sectors that we are looking to short against, and we will look at the assets and financial instruments that we will be using. Now, we have created a basket of 50 companies across various sectors, and we have decided to focus on the Great British Pound, the FTSE, and the VIX index. Now, one of our positions which is a large position for us, will be betting against the Great British Pound. And we will be doing this against the euro and the dollar. And we are doing this with both futures and put options. And the opposite of this trade, we have also purchased some FTSE options, and we will also be purchasing some FTSE options, which are both call and put options, because we do believe that a no deal event will cause a lot of volatility on the FTSE, and combined with that, we will potentially have a major devaluation of the pound, and that will also cause a lot of volatility on the FTSE. So we could see some major sharp swings in the event of a no deal scenario. The volatility index across the globe will most likely spike if there is a no deal scenario, just like what it did in June 2016. And we are also focusing majorly on various sectors and industries exposed to Brexit, and especially a no deal event. Now, we have picked 50 companies. We have picked 5 companies from the supermarket and farming industry and sector. Reason being why this is because UK farming is heavily reliant on subsidies from the EU. So once these subsidies fully stop, then they will have a lot of financial pressure, and also a lot of supermarkets do import a hell of a lot of food from the EU. If we have a devaluation, this food and these imports will cost more, and if we do leave the EU in a no deal event, there will be tariffs put onto these products. So there's a very high chance, if there is a no deal scenario and the devaluation of the pound, food prices in the UK will rise quite a lot. Another industry is a car industry. The United Kingdom is a hub for a lot of international car companies, solely because our access to the EU and our system and our law and our tax system as well. That is quite an attraction for car companies internationally, which send parts to the UK, build the cars in the UK and send them to the EU. We have picked 5 different companies, both European Union and international based companies. banks. We've picked 5 UK banks solely because their debt load and their passporting rights basically the debt load is quite high and their passporting rights into the EU will be affected. So if there is a no-deal Brexit, UK banks will be affected in a short-term period. We've picked 7 companies in the retail sector. Retail sector is going to get hit heavily in a no-deal event, and it's also going to get hit heavily if the pound devalues again. We've picked 8 companies from the United Kingdom property, construction industry and sectors, solely because UK property and construction is very much not doing well at the moment. And when we have seen a lot of downturn, a lot of market crashes related to Brexit, UK property and construction stocks have been the worst hit out of a lot of those stocks. So we have picked 8 companies, and we've decided to pick 8 companies that have a lot of debt on their books. We've picked 5 airline companies, solely because their legal structures and their rights and certain licenses that they have that allow them to fly into the EU will be affected by Brexit and a no-deal event. We've also picked 2 insurance companies due to certain contracts could be void or certain contracts could be lost due to losing certain rights and rules and not being part of certain policies which are related towards the European Union. We've picked 5 leisure and travel companies, solely because if there is a no-deal Brexit, a lot of visas are going to be put into place from potentially European Union citizens coming to Britain and vice versa. It will end up being that they could possibly reinstate the free movement, but if there is a no-deal event, straight away it will hit the leisure and travel companies and it will hit their share prices. Hotel chains, UK based. Distribution companies, we've picked 3 distribution companies in the UK. Actually, one of them is Royal Mail, because if there is a no-deal event and there is a lot of turmoil regarding custom checks and sending parcels and sending items internationally to the EU and bringing them back from and the EU sending items or products to the UK, distribution companies will be affected by a no-deal event. And lastly, the medical industry. Currently, a lot of medical companies are stockpiling medicine, and if we do leave the EU, we'll leave the EMA agency. And if that's the case, a lot of medicine in the UK, a lot of rights and licenses related surrounding medicine won't be in place. So there will be a lot of negative turmoil that will occur, and this turmoil will hit medical companies, especially medical companies reliant on importing and selling and providing medicine to all companies, the NHS and customers. So these are the industries and sectors that we have focused on. The devaluation of the pound, losing a lot of rights and losing a lot of licenses to the EU, and uncertainty will be the major factors into causing a major downturn on these companies. And if there is a no-deal scenario, the chances be that the stock prices of these companies will get hit hard. And we've also looked at the risk to reward ratio. It's roughly working out at the moment the risk is 70% maximum, and the maximum reward is around 3,000% return. That is a maximum reward based on the June 2016 Brexit vote and the effect it had on the global stock market. It was dubbed Black Friday. Global stocks lost $7 trillion in one day just because we voted to leave the EU. If we have a no-deal event and we leave the EU without no deal, chances be it will be a Black Friday, June 2016, round 2. And if that were to occur and stocks and share prices were to get hit big, the reward could potentially hit 3,000% return. So £1,000 into short in the market related around related around Brexit and a no-deal Brexit. That £1,000 could potentially lose £700, or it could potentially return £31,000, mainly due to the put options paying off, and mainly due to if we were to have a repeat of Black Friday, June 2016. The night of the Brexit vote in 2016 will be like the night of the House of Commons vote, just not as late. So that will be the time when the market will move if the House of Commons vote down the deal. And yes, a lot of companies are approaching this, and they are positioning themselves based around a no-deal scenario. Medical companies are stockpiling medicine. Aston Martin is even arranging a deal where they could fly over car parts from the EU instead of bringing them in by ship, solely because a lot of the trouble it will cause regarding the customs build-up at ports around the UK. Airlines have been registering their planes in Austria, so have the ability to have ability for the EU to accept their planes to fly around the EU. And also UK banks are opening up hubs in the EU so they can still bypass losing the EU passporting rights. So the big businesses, corporations, and a lot of the smart money is already positioning itself around a no-deal scenario even before the deal was given to the public and to Parliament. And yes, there will be a risk related to this trade, and that risk will be a people's vote. They might come out and say, look, it's too much trouble at the moment, so we're going to have a people's vote. Then Brexit will potentially be prolonged. It could even be stopped if the people vote to remain. And also, we've got a lot of criminal investigations surrounding Brexit. So if these criminal investigations start to come up and be made more public, that could push politicians into giving them a reason to extending leaving Brexit, or even prolonging it to 12, maybe 18 months later. But the chances of all these possibilities is highly unlikely. The most probable possibilities is the deal is going to get put to Parliament, and the other most probability is Parliament will reject that deal solely because the majority of Parliament have already said that they're not going to vote for the deal. And yes, it will cause a downturn. Short downturn, long downturn is yet to be known. But there will be a bipolar period of booms and busts within certain UK industries. Half of the UK industries and sectors will be highly hurt and majorly hurt by Brexit and a no-deal Brexit. UK property and construction and UK retail are the two most weakest industries in the UK as we speak. If there's a no-deal, and we lose a lot of the rights and we lose a lot of the abilities and a lot of the connections that we have with the EU, and we have a devaluation of the pound, majority of these retailers aren't going to survive. They're already finding it hard to survive already, especially the high street ones. We've had a lot of bankruptcies lately. If there's a no-deal scenario and we have a devaluation and we lose a lot of the linkages towards Europe, the majority of UK retail companies will probably be in dire problems after we leave. But other industries will do well. Exporters will be welcoming a major devaluation with an open arms. If the pound devalues 15%, their products get 15% cheaper to all global countries. And because we're not restricted towards the EU, they have the ability to then execute deals with these countries. So it will be a bipolar period of negative effects towards certain industries and sectors and positive effects towards other industries and sectors. And I'll give you an example. I have a client he's basically hedging his business. What he does is that he imports coffee and he flavours it over here, turns it into gift sets, and then he sells it on to certain companies. Country stores, he sells it to certain high street supermarkets and high-end luxury shops. But he has a good business. But if the pound were to devalue, the cost of his coffee, which he imports, will cost more. So we approached it in a sort of financial protection way. We did. For 2019 to 2021, my client is estimated to pay around £450,000 to import coffee. So if there is a devaluation on the pound, then every 1% it devalues will cost my client an extra £4,500 over 3 years. If it devalues like it did in 2016, my client is set to pay an extra £80,000 plus over the next 3 years just to import the same amount of coffee that he can import now. And if that's the case, he has two options: to raise the prices of his gift sets by 20 to potentially 25%, or accept a lower profit margin. So we're in a dilemma. So what we've done is basically we hedged his exposure towards buying foreign currency, which allows him to import his coffee. What we did is we purchased £500,000 worth of put options against the pound related towards the euro and the dollar. The options cost him around £4,000. So if the pound does fall, let's say 10%, it will cost my client an extra £45,000 in costs until 2021 just to import the same amount of coffee that he can import now. However, he now owns £500,000 worth of put options that has cost him £4,000. These options make up the extra £45,000 cost, because 10% of £500,000 worth of put options is £50,000 plus the price of the option. So the £45,000 3-year payout, extra payout that my client will have to pay if the pound falls by 10%, is subsidized by an income of around £50,000 to £55,000, which is provided by the put options. But if the pound doesn't fall, or if it doesn't devalue, then his options will lose value. So it's a sort of insurance premium. He has insured his importing exposure for your pound £4,000. And buying put options is a form of acquiring an insurance policy against a negative market falls. So he's basically given himself certainty as well, which is a good thing, especially when it comes to owning a business and putting your own capital at risk. And if the pound does fall 20%, just like it did in 2016, his 4K insurance policy returns him £100,000, and that £100,000 saves him losing £90,000 in extra costs to purchase coffee up until the end of 2021. And the irony is, now he wants a Brexit and a no deal. Once I started to mention to him that a devaluation will make his gift sets more competitive compared to other coffee gift sets in the UK, he started smiling. I said, I very much doubt it that your competitors will be adopting this approach. And I also said that a devaluation will set him up to potentially expand into exporting his gift sets around the globe. Because if the pound does fall 10%, his gift sets become 10% cheaper to the world. If the pound falls 20%, his gift sets become 20% cheaper to the world. And because he doesn't have to raise the price of his gift sets, because he has protected himself, he will be in a great position to profit not only by selling to the UK market at the same price and a more competitive price comparative to his competitors, but also selling international to other companies and clients abroad. And this is just one example of the many ways to use Brexit as a positive thing. Just one example of many, many ways. So in summary, the right approach to Brexit and a no deal will be to prepare for it. That's the reality surrounding this. The no deal will 90% plus chance happen. A deal happening has basically been put on the table for us. MPs have stated that a deal's not going to happen and they're not going to vote for a deal. And big businesses are hedging themselves around it. Energy companies will be now buying put options to protect themselves against the devaluation of the pound because they purchase their gas in dollars from abroad, for example. Other major big businesses will be doing the same. Hedge funds are all over this as well. From the city to America, hedge funds are very much positioning themselves around Brexit, and a no-deal Brexit event will profit them a lot. Speculators and traders like us guys here at TU Markets and other traders, Brexit and a no-deal is a major opportunistic event. So it's not exclusive. For the average Joe to protect themselves is quite a simple process. SMEs need to do what big businesses are doing. They need to hedge their business. Homeowners will be exposed from Brexit because Brexit will cause a housing crash. A housing crash is already slowly happening anyway, but Brexit will exacerbate it. So homeowners can short UK property and housing stocks. They hedge themselves from the downturn in the housing market and when their home potentially loses value. Investors can do the same. Resort to protecting their assets exposed to a downturn via the market. Even holiday goers. They can use the markets to avoid paying extra costs by purchasing other currencies that they use to go on to holiday. Whether it's next year, the year after, and the year after that. So this way and the process of actually trying to short the markets isn't just available for your hedge funds and your big businesses. It's available for everyone to be done right. It's available to everyone if done right. And as this episode states, we are dubbing this project as the Brexit a big short and a sharp boom. Now in our next episodes we will look at why a sharp boom could possibly happen, especially due to a devaluation of the pound. So feel free to subscribe to our members section in order to maintain access to all of our positions and our material surrounding Brexit and a no-deal event. Thanks for listening. So until the next show, be lucky and be prosperous.